Yes, students. Now we will revise the topic of time of supply. The provisions with respect to time of supply is given in section 12, 13 and 14 of CGST Act. Section 12 talks about the time of supply of goods, whereas section 13 talks about the time of supply of services. And section 14 will tell whenever there is a change in the rate of GST, how do we decide the time of supply for goods as well as services. But don't worry, section 14 is not a part of intermediate syllabus. So we'll be learning only the two sections, that is section 12 and 13 of CGST Act, guys. Yes. But before we get into the time of supply topic, we will see why do we require time of supply. We'll just try to recall whatever we have learned till now, guys. First, that is in the second chapter, we identified whether the activity or a transaction is it a supply or not, for which we need to refer to section 7 subsection 1 read with schedule 1. Schedule 1 talks about 4 activities. We even without consideration, they are still said to be a supply. Yes, sir. Then once we identify whether an activity or a transaction is a supply, then we need to classify whether it is a supply of goods or supply of services, for which we need to refer to section 7.1 capital A read with schedule 2. Okay. And is it required to do so? Yes, guys, because there are different rates of GST applicable for goods as well as for services. So we need to classify whether the supply is a supply of goods or services. Then if there is any supply covered in the negative list, it is not taxable. So we need to remove it. So negative list is read along with section 7.2 and schedule 3. Then coming to the exemption list is covered in section 11 or section 11 of CGST Act or section 6 of IGST Act along with notification. Because section 11 and 6 just give the power to the government to notify any goods or services which are exempt under GST, and this goods and services whichever has been exempted is through notification, guys. Okay. So anything covered in negative list or exemption is not taxable. So we need to remove it or deduct it. Fine. So remaining supply is taxable. So when it is taxable, we need to see who is liable to pay GST. So under GST law, they have given when a recipient is supposed to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism as per section 9.3 or 9.4 of CGST Act or section 5.3 or 5.4 of IGST Act. That is, the recipient is the one who is liable to pay GST. And in section 9.5 of CGST Act or 5.5 of IGST Act, they have also told when e-commerce operator is supposed to pay GST. So if there is any notified services which are supplied through e-commerce operator, even though e-commerce operator is neither the supplier nor the recipient, still he is the one who is liable to pay GST. And which are the services which are notified is the Devara Rath Yatra, guys. That is D for local delivery services, R for restaurant services, A for accommodation, and T for transportation of passengers. Then last one H, housekeeping services. So if you have booked any of these services through e-commerce operator is the one who is liable to pay GST. And in any other case, the supplier is liable to pay GST under forward charge mechanism, guys. Yes, sir. So we understood who is liable. Next, sir, what should they pay? What amount of GST should they pay? For which government? Depends on the nature of supply. When location of supplier and place of supply is in the same state or union territory, we call it as intra-state supply. And in case of intra-state supply, CGST is levied by central government and SGST is levied by the respective state government. Or if it is within the union territory, then instead of SGST, UTGST would be levied, guys. Sir, what if location of supplier and place of supply is in two different states or two different union territories or one state, one union territory? We call it as interstate supply. And in that case, high GST will be levied and collected by central government, but it will be shared with the destination state. Yes, sir. So we have understood all this till now, guys. But sir, okay, you told who should pay and what they have to pay. Fine. But when they should pay, sir? When they should pay. So the time of supply will help you to decide what is the due date to pay GST. Guys, please be careful. The time of supply is not the due date to pay GST, but time of supply will help you to decide the due date of payment. Time of supply means when supply took place or when the goods or services are said to be supplied. That's all. Using time of supply, we can decide what is the due date to pay GST. Okay. And time of supply will also help you to decide what is the rate of tax whenever there is a change in the rate of tax, especially. Then what is the value of supply on that particular day? That is the date on which the time of supply has arisen. No, on that day we need to calculate value, and it will also help you to lock the due date. And please be very careful, guys. I am telling it again and again. The time of supply is not the due date to pay GST. Assume the time of supply is on any day in March, that is from 1st March to 31st March, any day. The due date would be 20th of next month for the supplier who is under section 9. Got it? Yes. And there are different due dates also, but majority of them will fall under section 9, and the due date is the 20th of next month, guys. So in simple, the time of supply will fix the liability for a person who is liable to pay GST, whether it is taxable under forward charge mechanism or reverse charge mechanism. Yes, sir. Fine. So now we will start learning the provisions with respect to time of supply of goods as well as services. So I have made one single chart for goods and one single chart for services, guys, with respect to time of supply. We will learn it. Yes. So totally section 12 as well as section 13 has 6 subsections and they have been arranged in the order. If you study one section, then the other will become easy, guys. Got it? Yes, sir. So 12 Section 12 of CGST Act talks about the time of supply of goods. Subsection 1 is just like an heading. They will tell the time of supply of goods is as per section 12. It is just like an heading. Okay. So the actual content is from subsection 2. Yes. So what is the time of supply for a goods which is taxable under forward charge mechanism? If it is taxable under forward charge mechanism, we need to think from whose point of view, people? Supply. Supplier is the one who will supply the goods. He is the one who will issue invoice and he is the one who will receive the payment. Correct? He will receive the payment and not make the payment because the recipient is the one who will make the payment whereas supplier will receive the payment. Yes, sir. So section 12 subsection 2 is telling earlier of the following dates is the time of supply for the supplier who is supplying the goods under forward charge mechanism. So the date of issue of invoice or the due date of issue of invoice we need to take. Date of issue of invoice is nothing but on the invoice a date would be mentioned on the top, no, that date. Okay. Whereas due date to issue invoice is given in section 31, guys. It is a part of invoice chapter, but we will try to cover it here only because the time of supply depends on what is the due date to issue invoice. Okay. We will refer to section 31 to know what is the due date to issue invoice for goods, guys. So if there is a movement of goods from supplier to recipient, then the invoice has to be issued before the goods are removed from supplier place. Because supplier is the one who is liable or who is responsible to issue invoice, right? Yes. So before the goods are removed from supplier's place, he has to issue invoice on or before that date. Okay. Sir, what if there is no movement of goods? Then it will be on or before the delivery of the goods to the recipient. Guys, similar thing we saw when we were discussing the place of supply, but please don't get confused. Now we are deciding what is the due date to issue invoice. Sir, why do we need due date to issue invoice? To decide time of supply. Okay, so we have discussed when there is movement, when there is no movement. Okay. Sir, what if there is continuous supply of goods? Continuous supply of goods means they would have mentioned in the question, guys. Assume the supplier is supplying the goods day in, day out to me every day. So is it possible to issue invoice for each and every supplier and make payment? May not be. So assume there is a supplier who is supplying water cans for my office every day. So instead of making the payment every day, I have told him, sir, once in a month, you give me a statement. In that statement, give me the details on each and every day, how many cans of water you supplied to me. And accordingly, I will make the payment on 5th of next month. So he will give full details in the statement throughout the month what he has supplied and I will make the payment based on that. So what is the due date to issue invoice here is? Please be careful. Statement is given by the supplier. Clear up. We are not talking about the invoice there. Statement is different. Invoice is different. Okay, now statement means he will give the details of what all goods he has supplied or how many cans of water he has supplied throughout the month, guys. Okay. So for the supplier, what is the due date to issue invoice? On or before the issuance of each statement of account or each payment is received, whichever is earlier, guys. See, if they have given any one, you take straight away. If by chance, if they have given both the statement date as well as payment date, you can consider whichever is earlier. You can take whichever is earlier. Oh, then the last one, when goods are supplied on approval for sale or return basis. Assume I have sent goods to you, and when I have sent, it is not a sale for me. Only when you have approved it or when you have accepted it, it is a sales for me. Okay. Or else you have done something which will signify to me or it will imply to me that you have accepted the goods. Or else, assume I have given 1 month time for you to accept or return back the goods. Even after 1 month, you are still holding the goods. That means you have neither accepted nor rejected nor returned back. So at the end of 1 month, that is the time which I have given to you. If you are not told anything, it is considered to be sales for me. Okay. But under GST, they are telling supplier, when you are sending the goods to the recipient, don't give more than 6 months. Means indirectly they are trying to tell, don't give more than 6 months. Even if you give more than 6 months, at the end of 6 months, it might not be accepted still. Still, for GST, it is treated as supply. For example, assume guys, I sent the goods to you and I have given 10 months time for you to accept or return back the goods. Assume you accepted the goods at the end of 4th month. It is a supply for me. So on or before you accept the goods, I have to issue invoice to you. Okay. Now, no sir, goods was not accepted at the end of 4th month. Assume you are taking more than 6 months time because I have given totally 10 months time, no, either to accept or return back the goods. Yes. But under GST, they are telling if at the end of 6 months, if goods are neither accepted nor returned back, for me, it is treated as supply. It is treated as supply and I have to issue invoice for it. Got it? Because even government is feeling no fool will give more than 6 months time. The standard time is like 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, 2 month maximum, guys. Not more than that. Even in a genuine case, if supplier is giving more than 6 months time, the department or the law is telling at the end of 6 months, we consider it as supply. Let me read it. On or before the time of supply, or okay, if it is already accepted within 6 months, at that time you have to issue invoice, or 6 months from the date of removal of the goods, whichever is earlier. So this 6 months comes into picture only when the supplier has given more than 6 months time to the recipient to either accept or return back the goods, but till the end of 6 months still it is not accepted by the recipient and he has not returned back also. Can we consider it as a supply? Yes. Okay, guys. So these are the due dates to issue invoice. So for the goods which is taxable under forward charge mechanism, very simple. Only two dates are there. We need to consider earlier of that. What is it, people? Come on, repeat along with me. The actual date of invoice or the due date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. Sir, what if both the dates are same? Straight away take that only as time of supply. That's all. And sir, what about the advance or date of payment here? Date of payment is not covered. Yes, guys. See, actually in 12 subsection 2, date of payment was there, but it has been removed by way of notification. So as on today, date of payment is not there, which means assume I have received any advance from you to supply goods after 2 months and to issue invoice. Okay, let me put numerically. Assume guys, I have agreed to supply goods to you for 10 lakh rupees after 2 months. So after 2 months, I will supply the goods and issue invoice. But today, I have received 1 lakh advance from you. Is this 1 lakh taxable for me on receipt basis? No, no, no. Only after 2 months, whenever actually I supply the goods and issue invoice, no, entire 10 lakh will be taxable for me. Entire 10 lakh. Okay, because after 2 months, I will receive only the balance 9 lakh. Why so? Because 1 lakh is already received as advance. So will 1 lakh and 9 lakh be separately taxable? No. For entire 10 lakh, there will be one time of supply which we will decide based on the actual date of invoice or the due date of invoice, guys. So in simple, if I have to tell, if any advance is received for the goods to be supplied in future, it is not taxed when it is received. but it will be taxed when it is means when goods are actually supplied and invoice is issued, guys. Okay, but I have mentioned here note. Note is at the bottom. Let us read it. There are two exception case for this. In case of specified actionable claim like casino, betting, online money gaming, like that, guys. And composition suppliers, the supplier is liable to pay tax at the time of receipt of payment. So only for the suppliers of specified actionable claim and the composition suppliers who are following any of the two composition scheme given under section 10, for them the time of supply is the date of receipt of payment. Only for them we need to consider the date of payment. For anyone else we should always follow what is given here, date of invoice or the due date of invoice. Got it? Yes, sir. Next, coming to for the goods which is taxable under reverse charge mechanism, we need to apply section 12 subsection 3. Guys, under reverse charge mechanism, who is liable to pay GST? Recipient. Now we need to think from recipient point of view. Recipient will receive the goods. He will receive the invoice and he will make payment. And he will make payment, yes. And when recipient make the payment, guys, you guys tell me, will his bank account be debited or credited? Assume you are making payment to me. I am the supplier, you are the recipient. So when you make the payment, your bank account would be debited or credited? It will be debited, guys. Your bank account would be debited, whereas my bank account would be credited. But here we are not bothered about supplier. We are bothered about whom? Recipient, because he is the one who is liable to pay GST under reverse charge mechanism, guys. Okay. And easy to remember. Reverse charge mechanism maximum cases are covered in which section? 9 subsection 3. Real estate transactions are also covered in subsection 4, but majority of the cases are covered in 9.3. Yes. So this subsection 3 has some connection with RCM class, because here also 12 subsection 3. And you can see there are 3 dates here. We need to take whichever is earlier. So 333 RCM. Clear? Yes, sir. Earlier of the following dates, what are those? Date of receipt of goods or 31st day from the date of issue of invoice. So supplier would have issued the invoice. We need not take date of invoice. We need to take 31st day. So actually how they have given in the law is date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. So in simple, should we take 30th day or 31st day? 31st day. 31st day. Yes, sir. Then date of payment. And for recipient, date of payment means what? Earlier of the two dates, guys, I have given here. Date of payment is earlier of date of debit in the bank account of the recipient or the date of recording the payment in the books of accounts of whom? Recipient, whichever is earlier. So what is this? Sir, date of debit in the bank account. Okay. What is this date of recording the payment in the books of accounts? Guys, in recipient book, you will pass the entry now to bank. That is purchases to bank you will pass, or else if it is a credit purchases, you would have already passed the entry purchases to supplier. Now when he is making the payment, he will pass the entry supplier to bank, right? Yes. I repeat, if it is a cash purchases, made payment made immediately, purchases to bank, yes. On what day did he pass this entry? We need to take it. If not, then, sir, if it is credit purchases, first he would have passed an entry. What is it? Purchases to supplier. Now supplier is a liability till the payment is made. And when he is actually making the payment, he will pass the entry supplier to bank. When did he pass that entry? So in simple, when did he pass to bank? We need to take that. Got it? Yes. I will just show you. You can see. If it is a cash purchases of goods, he will pass this entry. On what day did he pass it? In his books, we need to take it. Sir, what if it is a credit purchases? First, he would have passed the entry purchases to supplier. Should we take this date? No, no. Supplier to bank, we need to consider this date. Got it? The date on which the recipient passed payment entry in his books. Okay, so fine. Okay. So this is from recipient point of view, guys. There are 3 dates and we need to take whichever is earlier. And please be careful while counting this 31 days. Got it? I will explain you with an illustration later when I also cover the services, because for services we are supposed to take 61st day. Yes, sir. Fine. We are done with it. And whenever you are deciding the time of supply as per section 12 subsection 3, please think from recipient point of view. Okay, sir. Then coming to 12 subsection 4, which talks about the time of supply of voucher, has been completely omitted, guys. If you remember, section 7 subsection 2 read with circular, I had already told you. I had already told you when I was talking about, or when I was explaining about supply, if there is any sale of vouchers or coupons, it is not a supply. As per the circulars, it is not a supply now. But when the voucher is redeemed against the goods or services, is it a supply? Yes. I repeat, when there is a sale of voucher, it is not a supply. But if that voucher is used to buy any goods or services, then whoever is actually supplying the goods or services against that voucher, no, that is a supply for them. That is a supply for them. Previously, we had a time of supply with respect to voucher, depending upon whether it is identifiable or not identifiable. When voucher is sold, is supply identifiable? If yes, date of issue of voucher. If not, we need to take date of redemption. But now that provision has been completely removed. Even for services also it is removed under section 13.4, guys. Okay, fine. So next, 12 subsection 5. This is residuary cases. Only when you cannot decide the time of supply as per subsection 2 or subsection 3, you will apply subsection 5, guys. Don't straight away go and apply subsection 5. It is like a safety provision which government has added. Okay. So if you cannot decide the time of supply as per subsection 2 or 3, then 5 is telling, check whether the person who is liable to pay GST, is he filing any periodical return? If yes, then the due date to file that return, whichever return he is filing, the due date to file that return is the time of supply. Sir, what if he is not filing any return also? Then the last case. Then the last case they are telling, whatever day he will pay GST, we consider that only as time of supply. You please pay. That's all. It is like a last resort. Okay, sir. Then coming to subsection 6, guys, if supplier is charging any additional amount in the form of IPL, interest, penalty, late fee, to whom? To the recipient. So the recipient delayed the payment. So that is why supplier is charging some additional amount in the form of what? Interest, penalty or late fee. Is that also a part of value of supply? Yes. As per section 15 subsection 2 clause D, easy to remember. When recipient is delaying the payment, D for delaying the payment, then supplier might charge some additional amount in the name of interest, penalty or late fee. Should it be included in the value of supply? Yes, it should be included in the value of supply. In that case, what is the time of supply? The date on which the supplier receives such addition in value. On whatever date the supplier will receive that amount from recipient, no? That is the time of supply. And please be careful, guys. This is not the interest, late fee, penalty which we are paying to the government. Whenever there is a delay in payment of GST or whenever there is a delay in filing the returns, we will pay interest, late fee, penalty and all. We are not talking about it. This is the interest, late fee, penalty is charged by whom? Supplier. To whom? To the recipient. Why? For the delay in payment of consideration. So if at all, if there is any additional amount, no, then there will be two different time of supplies. For example, assume I have supplied goods to you for 1 lakh rupees. I have told you need to pay within 1 lakh, within 1 month. You need to pay 1 lakh within 1 month. If not, you have to pay 5,000 additional interest. You didn't pay the amount within 1 month, so you paid me later. So you are totally paying me 1 lakh plus 5,000, 1 lakh 5,000. So for 1 lakh, we need to apply whether it is forward charge mechanism or reverse charge mechanism. Accordingly, we need to apply either subsection 2 or subsection 3. Let us assume forward charge mechanism is applicable. So for 1 lakh, to decide time of supply, we need to apply subsection 2. Whereas for 5,000, we need to apply subsection 6, guys. Sir, can it be two different dates? Yes, it can. It can be, especially when there is an addition in the value, there can be two different time of supplies. For 5,000 different date, whereas for 1 lakh different date. Got it? Yes. I will also explain this concept when we go to the value of supply under section 15 to D. This point is covered. Clear? Because when interest, late fee or penalty is received, there are two ways to treat it. Should we consider it as inclusive of GST or should we consider it as exclusive of GST? Depends on what information is given in the question, guys. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Fine. Sure. So we are done with the time of supply of goods, guys. And you may ask, sir, why all this is required? Because to give clarity, guys. because to give clarity. If I have to just give an example, see, assume there are different events happening on different dates. So recipient ordered for the goods through purchase order on 5th December. Then supplier sent the goods on 8th December. Then recipient received the goods on 10th December. And invoice is issued on 15th December. And payment is made by the recipient. That is the date of debit in the bank account is on 18th December. Then the payment or purchase entry is passed in the books on 31st December. So there are different events happening on different dates, sir. Now, how will I know when I am liable to pay GST? When did supply takes place? If the government just leave it for me to decide, then I will tell, sir, still time till the supply has not taken place. Got it? Yes. So that is why in order to give more clarity to the people or to the suppliers or the recipients, whoever is liable to pay GST, they have included time of supply provisions in the law. Okay, so coming back. So this is all about the time of supply of goods. But one thing to take care, guys, see, if both these dates are given for recipient, take whichever is earlier. But sometimes they will straight away give date of payment. Straight away take it. They may not give these two dates. They will just mention date of payment. Straight away take it. Or else they may give any one of these two dates. Consider it. Whatever is given, you take it. If both are given, take whichever is earlier. No, sir, they have given only one date or they have straight away mentioned date of payment. Consider it. Straight away, take it, people. Got it? Yes, sir. Yeah. Before we start with time of supply of services, guys, time is very important. I know for some of you who couldn't clear in your first or second attempt or in the previous attempt, you will be feeling like, am I taking too much time to clear this? Yes, I agree. Whatever time you have spent, you feel like you have lost it. Guys, that is actually not true because you would have studied, you would have gained a lot of knowledge. Maybe you couldn't see that successful on the screen. That's okay. And major concern for many students are, sir, I just came close, sir, 130, 140, 145. I've seen some of the students who have scored 147, 148, passed in all the subjects, but didn't get aggregate. I know it is very painful, but don't take it for your art. It's okay. Maybe ICI also felt that you need to put little extra efforts and they will clear. They will make you clear the exams. So you also know where and all you couldn't cover last attempt or which topics you didn't cover. Make sure that you are becoming strong in that topic and you will be that perfect person before going to the next exam, guys. So please don't take anything for art, especially when you fail or when you see failure. It will teach you a lot of things in your life. So take that, learn something from that lessons and try to rectify your mistakes, whatever you have committed, and bounce back. That is very important. I know, sir, I have got 145. Now I have to restart in the next exam from zero, sir. I know, guys. Yes, you have to gain the marks from zero, but you have a lot of knowledge. You have already gained a lot of experience. So continue with that. And you already know what extra you need to do, what extra the ICI is demanding from you. So please focus on that. And don't target getting that 40, 50. Please target exemption in all the papers. That is when you will be safe, guys. You will have that margin of safety. And if I have to tell about myself also, which is connected to this, see, even after having lakhs together views for my YouTube tax marathon videos, which was around 3 lakh for both direct and indirect tax, and more than 1,000 students were there, but I decided to restart again from zero, and it was my decision. I did it with a purpose and I'm very happy for it. So sometimes it's good to restart. So you guys also have to do it with full art and full enthusiasm, and I'm sure you will do it. Fine. So now coming back, the time of supply of services under section 13 of the CGST Act. Subsection again, even section 13 has totally 6 subsections, guys, arranged in the same order. Same order, whatever we learned in section 12. 13 subsection 1 is just an heading. It is telling the time of supply of services is as per section 13. Is as per section 13. Okay, sir. So let us move to 13 subsection 2. When the services are taxable under forward charge mechanism, so we need to think from whose point of view, people? Supplier point of view. So what is the time of supply? It depends on one major event. Did you issue the invoice within the due date or not? If invoice is issued within the due date, then The time of supply will be date of issue of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Sir, what if invoice is not issued within the due date? Then, as invoice is not issued within the due date, we don't take invoice date. Instead of that, we will take date of provision of service, means on what day service was rendered. Okay. So I repeat, if invoice is issued within the due date. Sir, what is the due date to issue invoice is given in section 31. We will learn that. Here itself I have given, we will learn it. Okay. Yes. So if the invoice is issued by the supplier to the recipient within the due date given in section 31, then the time of supply is earlier of 2 dates. That is the date of invoice or the date of payment. Here payment date is there. For services, payment date is there. Whereas for the goods which is taxable under forward charge, payment date is not there. It is there only for two things: specified actionable claim and composition supplier. For any other supply, date of payment is not considered for the goods which is taxable under forward charge mechanism, guys. Yes, sir. Next, if the invoice is not issued within the due date given under section 31, then the time of supply is earlier of the following 2 dates. So now we will not take the date of invoice because it is not issued within the due date. So instead of that, date of provision of service or the date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. So date of receipt of payment is common, guys. Only thing which is getting replaced is instead of date of invoice, it is date of provision of service. Okay, sir. Fine. Next, so this is clause A, clause B. Clause A is if invoice is issued within the due date, or clause B if invoice is not issued within the due date. If you cannot decide the time of supply as per clause A or clause B, then clause C is telling date on which the recipient who is liable to pay GST supplier under forward charge. But as the supplier doesn't have data about this, assume he doesn't maintain, he doesn't have, or his books of accounts has been burnt by fire, so he doesn't have any of these dates, then they're telling look into recipient's book. Okay. Date on which recipient shows the receipt of services in his books. So the date on which recipient shows the receipt of services will be the time of supply for whom? Supplier. Okay, sir. Fine. So here we saw what if the invoice is not issued within the due date or issued within the due date. So now let us understand what is the due date to issue invoice as given in section 31, guys. As per section 31, the time limit for issue of invoice is as follows. For whom? For a service supply. Taxable supply of services, invoice has to be issued within 30 days from the date of supply of services. That is, once the service is completed, within 30 days, the supplier has to issue invoice to the recipient. Whereas if supplier is a banking, insurance company, financial institution or NBFC, then instead of 30 days, they are giving 45 days. Please be careful. Only if the question specify that supplier is the following people, go with 45 days. If it is anyone else or if they have just given supplier, that's all, they didn't tell who is he, then go with 30 days, which is standard. Got it? Yes. Sir, what if it is continuous supply of services? The supplier is giving the services to the recipient throughout the year. In that case, the invoice has to be issued on or before. Check whether there is any contract between the supplier and recipient. If there is any contract between the supplier and recipient, and if the due date of payment is mentioned in the contract, the due date of payment is the due date to issue invoice. Okay. No, sir, there is no due date mentioned in the contract. It is just an understanding between the supplier and recipient. Then the actual date of payment will be the due date to issue invoice. The actual date of payment will be the due date to issue invoice. Then the last one. Sir, what if the payment is linked to the completion of a milestone event? Recipient has told, hey supplier, only if you complete so much of work, I will give you so much of payment. Assume we are entered into a contract where I am the supplier, you are the recipient. I am supposed to do construction work for you. You have asked me to construct, assume 10-floor building. Now the total contract value is 1 crore. And you have told, because sir, as you and when you complete one floor, I will pay you 10 lakh. You have told me. So what is a milestone event for me? As and when I complete the construction of each floor. So once I constructed 1 floor, you have to pay me how much? 10 lakh. 10 lakh, not entire 1 crore. 10 lakh. So for 10 lakh, what is the due date to issue invoice means? The date on which I completed that first floor or 1 floor. Got it? Yes. As and when I complete that milestone event, you are supposed to pay me the amount? Yes. So whatever amount you are supposed to pay me, I need to issue invoice on or before the completion of that milestone event. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Fine. Okay. Next, coming to reverse charge mechanism. So with respect to forward charge mechanism, we have covered everything, but there is one proviso. I will just talk about that also. Proviso. Guys, assume I have issued invoice to you. I am the supplier, you are the recipient. I have issued the invoice to you for 10,000, but while receiving the payment, I received 10,500, 500 more. So extra amount, if it is up to 1,000 rupees, they're telling this 500 can be adjusted in the next invoice. So it can be adjusted in the next invoice. The time of supply will be next invoice date. What if the amount is more than 1,000? Then we need to follow this provision. We need to follow this provision. Let me read that. This is provisos to section 13 subsection 2. As per proviso to section 13 subsection 2, where a payment of up to 1,000 rupees received in excess of the invoice value. Okay, invoice value is assumed 10,000, but I am receiving 10,500, 500 more. The supplier can choose to take the date of invoice issued with respect to such excess amount as the time of supply of services in relation to this excess value. So for 500, if I am adjusting it in the next invoice, we will take that invoice date as time of supply. Sir, what if I have received more than 1,000? For example, I have issued the invoice for you for 10,000, but while receiving the payment, assume I received 12,000, 2,000 more, which is more than 1,000 rupees. So in that case, for 2,000, what is the time of supply means? We need to decide based on this. We need to apply subsection 2, guys. Got it? Yes, sir. Fine. Next, going to reverse charge mechanism. There is an amendment here. So please be careful. Yes. So what is it? 13 subsection 3 is telling 3 dates, guys. If invoice is issued, okay, we are thinking from whose point of view? Recipient point of view. Whenever a service or goods is taxable under reverse charge mechanism, we need to think from recipient point of view, guys. Okay. If invoice is issued by the supplier, then we need to take clause A or clause B, whichever is earlier. What is clause A? Date of payment. What is clause B? 61st day from the date of issue of invoice by who? Supplier. So A or B, whichever is earlier, is the time of supply for recipient. Sir, what if supplier is not registered? So he didn't issue invoice. In that case, recipient has to do self-invoicing. Recipient has to do self-invoicing, means he or she has to issue invoice for themselves. In that case, the time of supply for the recipient would be clause A or clause C, whichever is earlier. Clause A or clause C, whichever is earlier. That is date of payment, or C, date of issue of invoice by the recipient. That is self-invoicing, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier. Is that clear? That is A or C, whichever is earlier. I will explain this again. Okay. So date of payment is common. So if invoice is issued by supplier, A or B, whichever is earlier. No, sir, invoice is not issued by supplier, then recipient will do self-invoicing. Then A or C, whichever is earlier. Okay. So anyway, A is common. So what is A? Simple. Recipient has to make payment, receive payment, he will make the payment. When he make the payment, his bank account would be debited, credited, debited. Okay. So date of payment is earlier of date of debit in the bank account of the recipient and the date of recording the payment in the books of accounts of recipient, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier, people. Yes, sir. Important. Oh, fine. Now, we have something with respect to this. I will just explain you. This is also connected to invoice topic, guys. Yes. Now, assume there is a supply of services which is taxable under reverse charge mechanism. First check whether supplier is registered. If supplier is registered, he will supply the services which is taxable under RCM. So that means recipient is the one who is liable to pay GST. So in that case, recipient will pay only consideration to the supplier. He will not pay GST amount. Okay. So in that case, supplier will issue invoice. Will issue because he is registered. No, he will issue invoice to the recipient. Okay. So recipient will pay only the consideration amount to the supplier and issue payment voucher. He will issue what document? Payment voucher. Okay. And recipient of services himself will pay the GST to the government. Okay, you can see here, I have mentioned. Pay tax under RCM and issue payment voucher for the supplier. And for recipient of services to pay GST to the department, what is the time of supply? Clause A or clause B, whichever is earlier. That is date of payment or 61st day from the date of issue of invoice, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier. Got it? Yes. And how to count that 61st day also I will tell you, don't worry. Next, coming to, sir, there is a supply of services by the supplier which is taxable under reverse charge mechanism. But supplier is not registered, sir. Supplier is not registered under GST means he cannot issue invoice. He is not issuing invoice. Yes. So in that case, recipient has to do self-invoicing. He will pay the consideration to the supplier without GST. Only the value of supply he will pay and issue what? Payment voucher. He will issue payment voucher. Okay. So if supplier is not registered, then what should recipient do? He has to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism and issue payment voucher for the supplier, and he has to do self-invoicing within 30 days of receiving the services. Within 30 days of receiving the services. Where is it given, sir? In section 31 subsection 3 clause F of invoice topic. Okay, na? Yes, sir. So in that case, for recipient to pay GST under RCM, what is the time of supply? The time of supply will be earlier of clause A or clause C, whichever is earlier, guys. Earlier of both the dates. So clause A is date of payment, whereas clause C is the date of doing self-invoicing, the actual date. No 61, no 31 and all here. Actual date. Actually, the time limit for the recipient to do self-invoicing when supplier is not registered is 30 days from the date of receiving the services or goods. Even, please listen here. Even if it is a supply of goods, if supplier is not registered, should recipient do self-invoicing? Yes, he has to do. But with respect to time of supply, they have not covered it. Okay, they have not covered the date of self-invoicing. They have taken 3 dates, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier, that's all. So I repeat, even for the goods which is taxable under RCM, if supplier is not registered, should recipient do self-invoicing? Yes, within 30 days of receiving goods. But have they connected that in the time of supply topic? No, they have not connected it. It was as before. Whereas for services, they have connected. We need to see who is issuing the invoice, which depends on whether the supplier is registered or not. Accordingly, decide the time of supply for whom? For the recipient, which is for the services which is taxable under RCM, guys. Not RCB, RCM. Yes, sure. You can just have a look into it. This is a part of invoice topic. I am covering it here itself because it has a connection to the time of supply, guys. Just have a look into it. You can pause the video and have a look into it. Yes, I will move forward. So, for the goods or services which is taxable under reverse charge mechanism, if any advance is paid by recipient, is it taxable on receipt basis? Yes. So you can observe for both services as well as goods, date of payment is one of the dates. So if any advance is paid, obviously that will be the earliest date. Earliest date. Okay. Whereas for the goods which is taxable under forward charge mechanism, if any advance is received by the supplier, is it taxable? No. Only when actual supply takes place and invoice is issued, it will be taxable. Exception is 2 cases. Got it? That is for goods. Whereas for services, for a services, important people. For the services which is taxable under forward charge mechanism, if any advance is received, is it taxable on receipt basis? Yes. Yes, it is taxable. Why, sir? Because one of the date to decide the time of supply here is the date of payment. And for supplier, what is the date of payment? I have given here. I have given at the bottom. Come to the bottom. We will learn it. Guys, assume I am supplying services to you and the services are taxable under forward charge mechanism. Now, will you make payment to me or should I make payment to you? You will make payment to me. So, supplier is receiving the payment. When supplier is receiving the payment, will his bank account be debited or credited? Credited. So, the balance will increase. So, it will be credited. Yes. So, the date of receipt of payment would be earlier of. This is from supplier point of view for subsection 2. Subsection 2. Yes. Date of credit in the supplier's bank account or the date on which payment is recorded in the books of accounts of whom? Supplier. So supplier will pass the entry now, by bank account debit to so and so. Correct? So when did he debit that bank? In his books of accounts. Please be careful. His bank account would be credited. The balance will increase. But I am talking about in books of accounts. As and when you receive the amount, you would have debited by bank or by cash. So we will consider the payment is received by through bank. So by bank. So when did he pass that entry? So the date of credit in the bank account or the date on which the receipt entry is passed in the books of the supplier, whichever is earlier, guys. So please be careful. This is from supplier point of view because you might get confused with this. This is from recipient point of view. Recipient will make the payment. So accordingly, his bank account would be debited. And in his books of accounts, it is a payment entry and not receipt entry. It is a payment entry. So he will credit bank in his books of accounts. Got it? Yes. So please be careful. Yes. So coming back to this. For the services which is taxable under reverse charge mechanism, if any advance is received, it is taxable. Yes. Let me take our old example for goods. Assume guys, I have agreed to supply services to you for 10 lakh rupees. And I am receiving advance today for 1 lakh. When will I supply the services? After 2 months. And I will issue invoice also after 2 months. So I will supply the services after 2 months and issue invoice after 2 months. But for that, I have received 1 lakh advance now. So 1 lakh advance has been received today. Whereas remaining 9 lakh, I will get it after 2 months or into 2 months down the line when I actually supply the services and issue invoice. Yes. So in that case, we need to decide time of supply will be two different dates. For 1 lakh, it will be date of receipt of payment because that will be the earliest date. Whereas for the remaining 9 lakh, we need to check this. Whether invoice is issued within the due date or not. So for entire 10 lakh, will there be one single time of supply? No. For 1 lakh separately, for 9 lakh separately. Whereas for goods, it was not like that. Because if any advance is received for the goods to be supplied in future, it is not taxable on receipt basis. It is taxable only when actually goods are supplied and invoice is issued, guys. Is that clear? Is that clear? Yes. So please be careful. There is a difference, especially for goods and services, which is taxable under forward charge mechanism. Even for taxable and reverse charge mechanism also there is a difference, especially this point. Please be careful. And as I already told you, whenever goods or services is taxable under reverse charge mechanism, please think from recipient point of view. Think from recipient point of view. Got it? If for services, and easy to remember, 9(3) of CGST Act or 5(3) of IGST Act talks about reverse charge mechanism. The goods or services which are taxable under reverse charge mechanism. So here also, for the goods which is taxable under reverse charge mechanism, 12(3). For services which is taxable under reverse charge mechanism, 13(3). Easy to remember. And each of them has 3 dates. There also you can remember. Clear? So if supplier is registered, you will issue invoice. The time of supply for the recipient would be A or B, whichever is earlier. No, sir, supplier is not registered. So in that case, the recipient has to do self-invoicing. In that case, what is the time of supply for the recipient? Clause A or clause C, whichever is earlier. And I will also tell you how to calculate the 61st day because you might go wrong with like +1, -1 days and all. So I want you to be extra careful there. Just a minute. I will just go to my provision book. I have given an illustration here. I will just show you. Just a minute. Yeah. So this is for a services which is taxable and reverse charge mechanism. I will just explain at least one case. So the date of invoice is 14th October. Date of payment entry in the books of accounts is 20th October or date of debit is 21st October. So date of payment will be whichever is earlier, 20th October. Yes, sir. Log that date. And date of invoice. The invoice is issued by supplier. Invoice is issued by supplier. So for recipient, we need to count 61st day. How do we calculate it, sir? Simple. So invoice date is 14th October. How many days in October, guys? 31 days. So 31 minus 14 you do. 14 is the invoice date. How many days are remaining in October? 17 days. And November has how many days totally? 30 days. So if I add up both aggregate, I am getting 47. But totally I require what? 61. Please be careful. In the law, they have clearly told date immediately following 60 days from the date of invoice, which is nothing but 61st day. Which is nothing but 61st day, guys. Okay. So 61 I want. Till November end, 47 days is already over. Remaining is what? 14 days. So it is 14th December, guys. So 61st day from the date of invoice is 14th December. 14th December. Hope you understood. Now you compare both of it. 20th October at 14th December, whichever is earlier. 20th October is the time of supply for the recipient of services. Yes, sir. So you can just pause the video if you want, and you can go through the other cases also. I have given multiple cases here. Oh, fine. There is one more proviso to subsection 3. What is it? I will just cover from you. Provided further that in case of a transaction is between associated enterprise, that is supplier and recipient is an associated enterprise, and supplier is outside India. That means it is nothing but import of services. Yes. Recipient is in India, supplier is outside India, and they both are associated enterprise. Sir, what is the time of supply? They have told. The time of supply shall be the date of entry in the books of accounts of the recipient who is in India of the supply, or the date of payment, whichever is earlier. Date of payment from for whom, sir? Recipient. Whichever is earlier, guys. And who is associated enterprise? They are connected to section 92A of Income Tax Act. So what is it? It is actually not a part of your intermediate syllabus, but still I've just given what exactly it means in simple. Broadly, an associated enterprise in relation to another enterprise means an enterprise which participates directly or indirectly or through one or more intermediaries in the management, control or capital of the other enterprise. In simple, if I have to give an example, holding and subsidiary companies. Is that clear? Yes. So this is only when the transaction is between associated enterprise and the supplier is outside India. So please be careful when they give a hint about it. You need to apply this provision. So I repeat, supplier and recipient is associated enterprise. Who is associated and all is not a part of your syllabus. When they give any question on it, they would have mentioned that supplier and recipient is associated, or holding or subsidiary, anything like that. Okay. And supplier is outside India. Only then we have to apply this proviso, guys. Okay. I have also given one illustration for it. So just pause the video and go through it. Okay, fine. Now, even for goods, I will just show you that 31st day calculation, because that is important. Yes. So you can see this is for the goods which is taxable under reverse charge mechanism, guys. So date of invoice is 20th October. 20th October. So we need to calculate 31st day. October has how many days? 31 days. So 31 minus 20 will give us 11 days in October. 11 days in October. So totally how much we want? 31. So 31 minus 31 it is. 31 minus 11 if I do, how much you will get? 20. So 20th November, guys. So 31st day from the date of invoice would be 20th November. Got it? So accordingly compare date of receipt of goods, date of payment, or 31st day, whichever is earlier, 20th November. Got it? Likewise, I have given totally 4 cases. You can just pause and see. And voucher provisions is anyway omitted. You need not worry about it. Yes. Got it, people? Yes. Sure. We'll go back. Yes. So now coming to subsection 4. First, let us cross check whether we have covered everything with respect to subsection 2 and 3. Yes, sir. Now, let us move to subsection 4, which is omitted. So nothing to cover here. So for goods as well as services, for both it is omitted, guys. Next, residuary cases. So for services, if the time of supply cannot be decided as per subsection 2 or subsection 3, similar to goods, we need to apply subsection 5. So if a periodical return is to be filed by a person who is liable to pay GST, then we need to take due date of filing such return. No, sir, no return has to be filed by them. Then whatever is the date of payment of GST, that is considered to be the time of supply. This is like a last option. This provision has been added by the government just to safeguard their revenue. Okay. Then if supplier is receiving any addition in the amount or addition in the value of supply by way of interest, late fee or penalty, then should it be added to the value of supply to the supplier? Of course, as per section 15 subsection 2 clause D. For that, what is the time of supply? The time of supply will be the date on which it is received. And as I already told you, if by chance if addition in the value is there, even in that case, there can be two different time of supply. Two different dates. Got it? Yes, sir. Fine, people. So this is all about the time of supply provisions. Yes. Now come to the beginning of the revision material where I have given the section list under CGST Act. Yes. Section 12, 13 and 14. 14 anyway is not a part of your syllabus. So we have covered it, guys. And I already mentioned you in the last chapter. Guys, anything which we are covering from now, that is from time of supply, is the provisions covered under CGST Act. Is there a separate provisions for these topics in the IGST Act? No. Whatever is already covered in the CGST Act, mutatis mutandis, that is same to same, is applicable even if it is a interstate supply as per section 20 of IGST Act, guys. So this is all about time of supply.